Do cyclists make selfish lovers? I'll answer the question right away. Yes, they are selfish lovers. But now let me explain how this question even came up. Came up on a group ride. Not this particular group ride, by the way. You're watching Pop A in Richardson, Texas, although I guess this is Parker, Texas. It goes through several cities. But back to the subject at hand, the selfish lovers, how this came up. Anna, a very fast woman who does this ride from time to time, posted on social media. We actually have a Facebook group for this ride, and she posted on social media that one or two particular men in this peloton on this group ride are particularly good to ride behind. Speaking of the devil, he's right there in the picture on the left. One of them, Bren. Now, Bren is a big guy. I won't do any weight shaming here, but he jokes about his weight. I think he weighs well over 200, but I'm not saying like well over 200. He's not like he's 300. He's the low 200s, and big guy. You definitely feel the power of his draft when you're behind him. And so I was thinking about who are the best guys to ride behind that give the most draft. And I was thinking to myself, there's a guy that's kind of underrated for his draft, and that's Lynn. And I went to Lynn and I said, Lynn, I think you're underrated. You're also a good draft guy. Now, of course, there's a little bit of a jokey thing in there because I'm implying that he's big, which is not always something a cyclist wants to hear. But he is wide. I'm not saying he's big, he's wide. There's a draft for sure. Rides a little bit upright, which is nice, also for creating a draft. And Lynn just laughed. He has a great sense of humor. He will laugh even at my jokes that aren't funny, which are most of them. And he said, most people are just selfish. They don't provide the kind of draft that myself and Bren and others provide. And I said, like selfish lovers. And he said, yes, like selfish lovers. And that's how I came to the idea that cyclists, in general, are selfish lovers. Now, do I have any specific evidence in the bedroom? I suppose the only evidence would be myself, and we won't go there. I'm neutral. This is not about me. This is about everybody else. And I guess the answer I would give to this is that cyclists in general are selfish. Therefore, isn't it highly likely that they would be selfish lovers? I say yes. Now, you're saying, are cyclists really selfish? Now, one reason I'm actually even talking about this, I know it's a little bit clickbaity. I know I'm at 398 subscribers, and 2 more subscribers would set off, fireworks in my son's head. He's like, how many subscribers? He doesn't even ask me how many subscribers I have anymore because he knows it's pitiful and not going to happen. But I know it's a little bit clickbaity. But getting to why I think cyclists are selfish. Now, I had one person tell me, and I probably mentioned this on another video, but of course I know that if you're watching this video, the chances are you didn't see that other video because not really many people watch these videos. But he said to me, cyclists in general are the guys that didn't play team sports. Is that true? Search your feelings. You might be one of those people listening right now thinking, oh, he's right. I didn't really play team sports. My friends played team sports, but I wasn't really good at that coordination thing, or I wasn't tall enough, or my mom wouldn't let me play football, or whatever it was. A lot of people coming into cycling are coming in from other things in life. Like whatever. they aren't necessarily like, I really loved basketball and I switched over to cycling. Actually, basketball is my early love, and I've played years and years of basketball. I love basketball. I like team sports. I played team sports. But he said most cyclists never play team sports and they don't understand being on a team. So when they actually get on a cycling team, they can't function. They don't know how to operate. The idea of sacrificing for your team is a foreign concept. The idea that everyone's mind is together to extract the best result doesn't compute. These are not guys that are used to playing together as a team. And oftentimes the kind of work that you did to get good enough to be on a team, to actually do a Cat 5, Cat 4 race, you spent a lot of time alone. It was an individual pursuit. It wasn't like all your buddies got together and said, hey, let's all take up cycling. And you all take up cycling and you mature together and you form a team together and hey, let's sign up for the local races and we'll be on a team together. No, it doesn't work that way. At least I've never heard of it working that way. Perhaps you have a great white whale story that you'd like to share with us. Please put it in the comments. But by far, people start off on their own. They're riding on their own. They go into some group rides. They make some friends along the way, blah, blah, blah. But it's an individual thing, and they develop power. These days, they're on the trainer by themselves. So then you get up into the racing aspect. You're good enough, somebody invites you to join their team, or you ask to join a team. And you're on the team. And, you're like, why when I, roll off solo off the front, why are my teammates chasing me? They don't know any better. They didn't watch NorCal videos. They don't understand the team concept. They don't care about the team. Why is my teammate chasing my other teammate who's in a two-man breakaway? You ask him later, he says, well, I just need to do my own race. I got to get my own workout in, or whatever. There's always some reason. After a time, you don't even bother to ask. Why? You already know why. They don't care. So, that is my answer. If you can't function as a team, how are you going to function as a lover? Good question, huh? So there's my answer. If you agree, then you agree. If you don't agree, that's okay too. It's all for fun. I'm just trying to provide a little bit of late night diversion here on the channel, Honest Tree. Now this is a big night. I guess I'm going to reveal something else tonight, which I've never revealed before. No, I'll wait till I have 400 subscribers to do that reveal. Anyway, what I'll reveal is why this channel is called Honest Tree. Now, it's not something super important or even interesting, really, but there is a reason, and it's a personal reason. But I'll reveal it later. Anyway, here we are on Pop Bay, and it was a cooler night tonight. Nice cool temperatures. I think when I left the house it was about 61 degrees Fahrenheit. So I removed the short sleeve jersey and turned over to my thermal long sleeve jersey. That, I forget, was it Velotech? I forget the name of my clothing sponsor for the club I'm in. Velo something. And so I bought this long sleeve jersey. I didn't know it was going to be a thermal. So when I got it back in like May or June, I thought, well, this sucks. I can't wear it. Luckily, my teammate had an extra jersey he could give me so I could have two short sleeve jerseys. But now that the weather has turned a little bit cool, I can wear the long sleeve jersey. And you can see that a few guys here, not the ones immediately in front of us, but many people are wearing a little bit of warmer gear as we turn day into night here on the Pop ride. So this is a ride that goes all year round. And you know, this is every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock, actually 5:55 p.m. They changed the time. And it's about 36 miles. And come what may, it's a year-round ride, which is somewhat rare around here to have a nighttime year-round ride. Here in Texas, the temperature doesn't get too cold. We have some rides that are below freezing, but usually if it's below freezing, there's a fair chance that no one will show up if it's below freezing. However, right around freezing and slightly above freezing, usually you will have guys that come out on this ride. So this is a way to just stay in shape. Through the year, maybe a bad way to get your zone 2, since this is known as a Hammerfest. I have to tell you a story. So, this past Saturday, I was in the grand city of College Station, Texas. I was visiting, and I have a lot of history going back into College Station, and I've attended a ride called the Flagpole Ride. I have, I think, a couple of videos on my channel depicting aspects of the Flagpole Ride. So I showed up at the Flagpole Ride, which is at the flagpole on the Texas A&M University campus near the Sul Ross statue, which was recently controversial in the past 2 years. Apparently Sul Ross made controversial statements or had slaves or something like that, and should the statue be torn down? The statue's right there. It's still there. Anyway, we were meeting at the flagpole, and one of the riders there, I won't say his name, but he's a local legend. He's a legend. He's especially a legend in College Station, but he's won multiple state championships, I believe. He's the 70-plus state champion in the time trial this year, and a multiple-time, Masters champion before this in multiple disciplines, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he sees me there. He knows me, and he's been following me on Strava, and he sees what I post about the pop ride and things, and he says to me, "Is that pop ride as crazy as it seems?" That was funny. And his friend's like, I guess maybe his friend follows me too, or he's seen videos or something, I don't know, but he was like, "Yeah, it seems really crazy." And I just kind of laughed. I guess everything is relative. For us, it seems pretty normal. I kind of, tried to make some excuses. There's 40 lights, you have a big group, it's hard to have everyone go through the light and, all together, and you're going to run into a few circumstances out of 40 tries where there's going to be a yellow and problems, and do I stop, do I not, all those kinds of things. But at the end of it, I had to say, everything you've heard is true. The motto of the pop ride that has this somewhat notorious reputation that I think is largely undeserved. When I say undeserved, I mean we're actually pretty safe, and there's very few crashes on the pop ride. We had a little run during COVID, but besides that, I would put this ride's safety record against almost any ride. Certainly against some of the rides that I see from other groups, which will remain unmentioned directly, which seem to post crash results every other week, if not every week. Someone hurt their shoulder, broke some ribs, fell, had a concussion. Even worse than that, much worse than that. Even a person who didn't come back. So, anyway, going back to this ride. There was a rider on this ride who took me by surprise. He is, and I won't mention his name. I don't know him well enough to know if he would be happy about me mentioning his name. But he is a 50-plus rider, Masters racer. I believe he's Cat 1, definitely Cat 2 if not Cat 1. And he was on this ride for the very first time. So he's not someone I personally know, but just kind of know of. And when I was helping run the crits after I hurt my wrist, he was there at the last race, and I know him by reputation. I've seen videos where he's in the video and other crits around here, so I know his reputation as being very fast, and he's won many races. So here he is on this ride for the very first time, and I'm thinking, why? And why is he here? And there were parts in the beginning, I didn't spend very much time near the front here, but there were times in the beginning that he was going quite fast on the front, pushing the pace. And I kind of wondered after the ride what he thought of the ride. I would say this was a pretty average pop ride. Like, nothing particularly extraordinary. A little bit of sketch, but anytime you add like 2 or 3 new riders, there's the chance of having a little more sketch than usual just because they don't know the route as well, they don't know the hazards as well, etc. And but I thought it was a pretty typical pop ride. At the ride end, at the ride end, there's a group of guys that at least a couple of them know him, and I said, well, what did he think of the ride? And they said he said something to the effect that it was the most ridiculous ride he'd ever been on. I thought that was interesting. Like, maybe he's right. Maybe this is a ridiculous ride. And we've just become so used to it, doing it week after week after week, twice a week, that we don't know how crazy it is. I don't think it's crazy. We do try to be, we try to be safe. We try to take care of each other. We don't want to crash. We don't want to hit cars. We don't want to get hit by cars. We try. Now, there's a few bonehead errors that happen every now and then, but I don't think it's the craziest, most ridiculous ride ever. I mean, you're watching it, right? Does it look? I remember I think I posted this video on a forum. Well, not this video, of course, but a previous video on a forum. And these guys are like, you guys are riding on highways in the winter in the middle of the night? In the dark? I guess that's what it looks like, right? We're like riding on highways. I guess for us it's just a boulevard. Although cars may be going 50 miles an hour. I guess that's a fast boulevard. I hope you're enjoying the dulcet tones of this video tonight. Some of my friends once told me with prior videos they might turn them on at night, probably on their phone. They're bored, they can't sleep. Looking to catch a moment, perhaps, of seeing their form on the bike as they pass me or otherwise. And said that my voice has the capacity to just put them to sleep. I thought that was good. I don't know if that's good. Here we have King Tut. You will note the Egyptian-themed socks. You will note the Egyptian-themed arm warmers. Hence, King Tut. Now, how does someone get the name of King Tut? You visit Egypt. You come back. You are King Tut. Now, while we're on the subject of King Tut, I need to bring up one of the most elite, effective group ride mechanisms called the Chisholm. Yeah, it's one of those gray areas. It's hard in a group when you're in a big group going through these big intersections. But let's get back to it. The Chisholm. What is the Chisholm? You know what the Chisholm is, you just don't have the same name for it. The Chisholm is one of the most effective ways to win a group ride. Now, first off, you're saying, how do you win a group ride? Well, that's a subjective matter. You win the group ride by whatever definition you have in your mind that meets the criteria for winning the group ride. So perhaps there is a final sign. Perhaps there is a city limit. There is something that designates some point of pride, bragging rights, that says, this is how I won. Now the chism is where there is a light, a traffic light, and the group is stopped at the traffic light. It's red. To execute the chism, you start from the back. You have presumably been dropped, or you have dropped yourself, meaning you've slowed down, noticing the light. And you are going to time the light so that you are moving while the group is not, and you blow through that light when it turns green. Now you don't want to time it too close. The red light runners in the form of cars may put that to grief. You don't want to time it too close, but you time it and you sprint while the other guys, everyone else, is still. Now this is very effective for creating a gap. You know, it's extremely effective because you're going like 30. Now Chisholm's doing it's like 27. You're going 30 and they're going 0. So that gap can get pretty big pretty quick. I was able to win the final sprint with the execution of the chism a few weeks ago, and I think that's the first time that I have successfully, I don't typically try to do the chism, but actually I had been, dropped. I could argue about whether that was purposeful or not, but I'd been dropped, and I just happened to catch up with the group right as it was about to turn green. I kind of slid around them and hit it. And I don't know what happened afterward. I mean, I won, in air quotes. But presumably the guys behind me just said a few bad words, shook their heads, said moron, and didn't even try. Now the curious thing about the chism, as executed by chism, so the reason it's called the chism is the person who has mastered the chism is Chisholm, i.e. King Tut, the guy I showed you in the video with the Egyptian yellow arm warmers and Egyptian yellow designed socks. That's Chisholm, also called King Tut. Chisholm attempts this all the time, like almost every ride. And the fascinating thing about the chism as executed by Chisholm is that it has never ever worked for Chisholm. He has always been caught. It defies all reason and logic that it has never worked. Now, he might be listening, or one of his friends may be listening, and tell him that I said the chism has never worked. And I'll bet he'll say, no, there was this time back in, like 2017 that it worked. Or maybe he'll say there was a few times. But my memory is that it has never, ever worked for him. He always gets caught. He can lay down the power for about 20 seconds. And after that, the fuel is gone, the tank reads empty, no more pushing on the gas. So it's actually kind of funny, the chism. I'm sure that some of you have done the chism. And there he is on the right. There he is on the right. Every single light is an opportunity to pull a chism. I guess that gets to the culture of a ride, and I think these videos are kind of like a way to discuss bike culture, and in this case, microculture. Like, what is the culture of this very particular ride, the pop ride, which is a transmission of culture over years and years and years. So this ride has been going on for, I don't know, in some form, like 15 plus years. And maybe close to 20 years. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask our resident historian, Batman, who started the ride. So the original starter of the pop ride still does the pop ride, although he doesn't do pop A. He does pop B or pop C, depending on his fancy. And the culture of the ride is transmitted over time. Now I think about when I first started the pop ride. I started on the pop B, and then after, I don't know how long it was, many months, I then had the courage to try pop A. And some of the guys that kind of took me under their wing and, taught me and welcomed me, I guess you could say that I learned from, the fast, strong guys that were on this ride. Some of them aren't on, those people I'm thinking of aren't on the ride anymore. Like, they kind of retired or moved away, and that's okay. I mean, I don't wish that they moved or retired from riding, but they have their kind of legacy that is transmitted through the people they knew. And then it's sort of the next generation's job to also transmit the legacy and traditions and lore. So these videos, I suppose, are a time capsule of the lore of the ride. Now, do I suspect that I will be ever watching this again? Probably not. Do I suspect that anyone outside of the people watching it over the next couple of weeks will probably ever watch it again? I don't know. I think most of the videos I've ever posted, of which I've posted a lot, very, very few get any circulation after they've been posted, after a little while. It's not being promoted by the algorithm. I think the only way to really watch them would be to, click on the channel and scroll through the choices of videos on the channel, and for some reason you've selected, I want to watch this pop ride on this day. So it is like a kind of like a time capsule that almost nobody will see, which is okay. That's okay. It's also just a way to fall asleep. That's okay too. I guess we're on Renner Road right now, where I call the dream crusher, the dream breaker. Many dreams have died on this road. Of course, I'm talking about cycling dreams, i.e. the dream of finishing with the group, much less finishing first on the group. Here I am taking a little detour, getting back in. As you can see, I did not spend a lot of time in the wind on this ride. It's October. I don't need to be sharpening the blade. I can just take some rougher grit swipes of the blade here. I don't need the finest point. So just getting in a little bit of exercise, a little bit of keeping the legs going here. And we'll ramp up in a minute here, towards the end. So, how far are we into this? It's really been 28 minutes, 29 minutes almost. So, no script here. The only thing I started with was the idea that I'd talk about cyclists as selfish lovers. And here we are. 30 minutes later. I'm really impressed with these guys on radio that can go in like every week, and especially the ones that don't have like a co-host, and they can keep talking, forever. Usually they have some kind of agenda, they have like sports stuff to talk about, or cultural stuff to talk about. They probably get a stack. They probably have a producer that gives them ideas of what to talk about. I don't have a producer. I'm just winging it. And if I was smarter, I say this is not that kind of YouTube channel. This is not the kind of overproduced. Okay, it's not. I mean, overproduced is the wrong phrase here. It's not produced at all. You probably should be produced. Like, there should be better production. There should be better graphics. I should have like a little intro thing. Don't care about that. Don't care about that at all. So, but the people that can just keep talking about things, I think that's one useful thing I like about doing this every once in a while is just practice talking. Public speaking is important, although this is not public speaking, this is private speaking. I'm sitting in front of a computer screen all by myself, wearing shorts, no shirt, late at night, thinking I probably ought to be going to bed, and there's probably a million things I should be doing that are more important than this right now. But it's been a long time. It's been a fair amount of time since I posted any videos, partly because life has been busy and I have been prioritizing other things, and other things are more important, and there's not really a lot of interest in these videos, although a lot of these guys do like to see themselves on the video, and certainly when my friends make their own video, I like to see what I was doing and how I did, and at least a little bit. Watch it for a couple minutes. Is this Kimmeth in front of me? This got to be Kimmeth, right? No, is this? Yeah, no, is it? Yeah, it has to be Kimmeth. Well, yeah. Why am I even saying this? Yeah, that's Kimmeth. Anyway, he is the Cambodian Batman. That's what I call him now. And why do I call him the Cambodian Batman? Well, my son, long story there with my son, but my son just randomly said one day, Cambodian Batman, completely unrelated to cycling, and I couldn't get him to explain what he meant by that. Obviously, there's some backstory there that I'm not going to get into right now about why he can't explain that. He says Cambodian Batman, and so I thought that was the most random kind of thing. I did Google it, like maybe he had searched it on the computer and there was a thing, a meme, something that's Cambodian Batman, but it turns out not to be the case that I'm aware of. Hence, my friend Kimmeth is now, as a Cambodian American, Cambodian Batman. One thing about this ride, you start, you stop. I should probably talk a little bit about red light starts, how to do them well, because I'm not good at them. Or rather, I choose not to practice things that would make it easier. So for example, I often do not shift down. So I'm starting in a bigger gear that puts me at a big disadvantage to staying on the wheel. I've also come to the conclusion that maybe my wheels are too heavy and it's hard to spin them up. I know they're heavy. Who buys carbon wheels and doesn't check the weight? That's me. I won't say what brand it is, but... And who buys 2 pairs of them? That would be me. I will say they've been bomb-proof, like potholes, everything, no problem. But I think it's a little bit hard to spin up. And here we're going here on this fast part of Renner. We're getting close to the end of the ride here. And guys like to go fast here. So my friend here, a new rider on our ride here on the left, is a bit in the wind. And you put in a big effort. But that's, it's just part of the, we hit a red light. But that's part of the thing, it's not, there's nothing to win. You do the efforts you want to do. You go as hard as you want to go. Of course, the ultimate sandbagging move is to never take a pull, sit in, and then just chisholm the guys at the very end. Of course, you don't need the chisholm. You can just win the sprint, having never touched the wind. And this is coming from the most famous sandbagger in Dallas. In the Dallas scene, as anointed by no other than NorCal Cycling himself, who called me a sandbagger on his video in the B crit, i.e. Cat 3-4 crit that I won that he talked about, which, you know, he was saying it in all fun and jest, and even then, I mean, I don't dispute I don't dispute that I try to be efficient in order to win, which is the way that they use the word sandbagger around here in our little milieu, even though that's not technically correct. A sandbagger is someone who races in a category that they probably shouldn't because they want to win, whereas the usage here is a sandbagger is somebody who doesn't take pulls, doesn't get in the wind, doesn't get on the front, but saves their energy and then uses that efficiency to their advantage to show up, flex, win, do whatever. In my case, of course, in a race, I want to use as little energy as possible in a way that maximizes my chances of winning, whether that is a sprint, breakaway, or whatever. I'm not saying I'm particularly good at it, but my friends joke around about it. When I went to College Station this past weekend, the legend commented on the NorCal video. So people that know me, like in cycling, had got a real kick out of seeing me featured in the NorCal cycling video, and that was a lot of fun. I thought it'd be fun if he could do another video of mine, although I don't know what race would be particularly interesting. I've sent him a second race before. Of course, that race would be actually about 3 years ago. That was the race that I was in the A race, i.e. Cat 1, 2, 3, got in the breakaway, which was kind of like a second-hand breakaway. It was the second-hand riders, the slower riders, people that wouldn't be favored to win that were in the breakaway, none of the favorites. And to spoiler alert here, we got caught with about half a lap to go, which was unfortunate because I think there was a decent chance I could have won had we not been caught. However, I was able to quickly glom onto the group as we got caught and still got 4th place, which begged the question, did I save too much energy in the breakaway, i.e. not commit enough? I did take my pulls and I didn't go like super easy on my pulls, but obviously if the breakaway is caught and I can stay in the group and get 4th in the sprint, that means, you know, I left some energy on the table. But anyway, for what it's worth, NorCal has not chosen to do that video, even though I submitted it like a long time ago, like 3 years ago. So, plus the video he did feature, I had submitted like 2.5 years prior to him actually going forward with it. So I'm about to pop off the back here. We're very near the end. I'm just going to sit up and rest and relax while these guys finish off the final sprint. That's coming up. I don't participate, don't know what happened, and it will go as part of the lore, which is missing and unknown from the videos, but known to the very participants who did it and lived it. And may those neurons, in some form or fashion, live through the universe forever. That I say. Amen. See you later. Next time. Maybe. Bye-bye.